Hey, Brett Swarts here, Capital Gains Tax Solutions with my good friend Piper Moretti. Now, Piper is one of the few, if only, crypto real estate professionals who've closed cryptocurrency deals into real estate. And it's such an honor to have her here today in Berkeley, California, as we're shooting this video. Piper, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, and thank you so much for having me.
So for our listeners getting to know you and our viewers for the first time, would you give them a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yes, well, the very short Cliff Notes version was I had a buyer find me in Manhattan Beach, this is where I live, said that he wanted to buy a $3 million home in Bitcoin, and I had no idea what that meant or what that entailed, but I said yes, and I just kind of put the puzzle pieces together. Once we went through that first transaction and figured out how to do it, we did 3 more, and then word kind of got out that we were doing this, and then someone else found me and wanted to buy something in Santa Barbara County, so we closed that one. And then after that, it was just like wildfire. I mean, this I guess had never been done that much before. There was one other transaction that was done in Tahoe the year prior, but yeah, I thought, well, why me? Why isn't everybody else doing this? But yeah, I mean, then the crypto winter happened, and we kind of had a falling out, so to speak, with the pricing, and not much happened. But then we had another run up at the end of 2020, and I've never been busier between buyers and sellers, and now agents. And with the mass adoption, agents are coming to me needing to know how to transact in cryptocurrency because these buyers and sellers are everywhere now.
Yeah, and the market's changing a lot too right now. We're in this big transition. We're shooting this in August of 2022. And what's your take on the cryptocurrency market right now, and how do you see that affecting real estate moving forward?
Oh, that's a great question. So back in 2018, when the bear market happened back then, there was a reason why it went up to 20 grand and then it crashed to 3,000, and it was mainly because of futures and just other things that were going on. And at that time, the crypto market was running kind of as a hedge to the stock market. But now with mass adoption, the crypto market is kind of running lockstep with the stock market now. And so, any news that comes out, the inflation, the Feds raise the rates again, the stock market crashes, crypto markets are going to crash. So, and then we had it once the crypto markets crashed, then the lenders that were kind of getting a little too big for their britches, so to speak, they started to kind of fall apart. And so that was part of it. But every 4 years, this tends to kind of happen. We're in a sort of a cyclical pattern. It will go up again. Right now, as far as real estate's concerned, I have more sellers than buyers now, which is kind of opposite of what the actual real estate market is doing, although that's kind of shifting. But yeah, I mean, and the sellers that I have, they are crypto. They're very bullish on crypto, and they know that they're going to have to wait it out, but it'll eventually sell at some point. So they're very optimistic, and so am I.
So let's dive into a little bit about that, how this actually works, right? So how does one, like a realtor, service their clients to be able to actually transact, cryptocurrency into real estate? Because it seems like it can be like in a Rubik's Cube and a little bit confusing. Kind of break it down for everyone who's watching.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 ways. Well, I'll just break it down to how a realtor can actually service their clients. There's other ways, but the meat and potatoes of it. We can do a wallet-to-wallet transaction. I do not recommend that for any novice seller who is just kind of stepping into crypto. It's usually with the people who are Bitcoin maximalists, and only want to take some kind of crypto. But we can do those now. Most common is crypto to cash conversion, and I do use escrow companies. We do it a little bit differently in Southern California, where title and escrow are different or separate. But my escrow company, who is set up with these payment processors, can handle those types of transactions. And she also works as a sub-escrow to any other title company in the country, which is lovely. And then we've got the collateralized loan options for those who do not want to cash out. The lender keeps their crypto. They lend against it. It could be 50, 60, 70% LTV. And now we even have collateralized loans that are tied to 30-year fixed. which is amazing because before this, it only happened like this year. Prior to this year, it was a short-term loan. People had to pay it back in 6 months to a year. So now we've got the 30-year option. So there's lots of options out there now.
So let's talk about that third one, right? Because right now there's so much turmoil, right, in the marketplace with cryptocurrency exchanges in different places that essentially lent out, right, or hedged against, or borrowed against, or allowed people to do these things. And now, I mean, billions of dollars and collapses of companies and people's wealth. So talk about that 30-year fixed option. Is what I'm trying to make sense of that. Are you seeing some challenges in those people who've done those deals?
You know what? No, not at the moment. I mean, they've been doing them slowly and incrementally. The particular company that I'm speaking with at the moment, I mean, it can change. It's Milo, and they've played their cards very smartly. The other companies like Celsius, Three Arrows, all that, they got a little too big, and they were kind of lending off of some, like air, so to speak. They kind of got a little too crazy about that. But, and these are being bought out by bigger conglomerates or whatever. But I believe that, like the 2018 crash that kind of weeded out all of the bad players, so to speak, the 2022, I'm not going to call it a crash, kind of a slow downward crawl. It's going to weed out a lot of the bad players as well. And all the lenders, there are lenders out there that are still standing, and they're doing just fine because they played smart.
If someone wants to, take the steps to, using their crypto to buy, and say it's in Manhattan Beach. I know there's a deal that you're working on with a seller who's got a highly appreciated asset, right? And looking at capital gains tax solutions to solve that challenge, but also have someone who has crypto who wants to use that. Like, how do you see those three working together? And what is your thoughts on, at the end of the day, we're in the business of solving problems, right? So to the extent we can solve problems and service our clients, we can create transformation and more transactions. And so kind of tie those three together. I'm curious on what your thoughts are on that.
Well, as far as, that's a really good example, because that type of seller are like most sellers right now. They will really just want cash at the end of the day. And so what I would advise if I had a crypto client find me would to be, ask them first of all, okay, for this type of transaction, for this type of seller, your best bet would probably be a conversion or a collateralized loan option. So a lot of times they'll say, okay, well, I just want to convert. Maybe they've got a ton of it still, even with the downfall. And they still have, they might be a whale, who knows, but they find this one particular property attractive because it is very close to the beach. It ticks a lot of boxes for these types of investors. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely, for me, I would look at their wallet first, and verify the funds on my own, just like we do a regular transaction. I would get them in touch with either FormPay or BitPay, who are payment processors. Now they charge a 1% fee for the conversion, but that's really all we're looking at. I mean, the escrow company doesn't charge anymore. There's no other fees tacked on top of that. So then we would get them verified in KYC, know your customer, going through all those procedures with them, get them set up. And then we would make the transaction happen, and it would just be like a regular cash transaction at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, talking to capital gains, that's another thing. I mean, you're getting dinged. So when they do cash out, that is a taxable event. Whereas maybe the collateralized loan, for sure, that is not a taxable event. But you're not getting, if it's a $5 million property, if you're lucky, you might get, maybe a $3 to maybe a $4 million loan on that. So you have to make up that difference. So it really just depends on, how, what your client's needs are and how you can talk them through. But
I think it speaks to the importance of having an expert and a guide who's done this, right, to execute on this. And you've been in real estate for many years, and now you have the cryptocurrency expertise. And it's combining these two expertise, which creates this new opportunity for these clients. And to speak on the other side of this side too, right, with the Deferred Sales Trust, part of what we offer at Capital Gains Tax Solutions is the ability to not only to sell, but when those folks go to exit, because they're in a different
Yes.
standpoint, right? So talk about a little bit of those challenges with the primary home
Oh my gosh.
and not having a 1031 option, and walk us through what that would look like for them.
I mean, we're talking about, so for this particular property, I mean, it could very well sell for about $5 million. They bought it for $1 million about 20 years ago. So at the end of the day, they might be able to take home, with all the loans and cost of sale and everything, they're probably going to walk out with maybe $4 million. That's a big chunk of change. So yeah, I mean, a deferred tax trust would be probably optimum for them, because they're not paying 20% on this chunk. They can put that in the Deferred Sales Trust and then just take out what they need. And if they need to get into another home, it's still like kind of makes it a little bit more bite-sized, rather than just that awful pain of having to pay 20% right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, the Deferred Sales Trust, for those who want to learn about that, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. By the way, it also works for cryptocurrency investment real estate businesses. Now, it wouldn't work in the situation where we were talking about a second ago, where the buyer wants to buy a primary home, because that would be a taxable event. But if it was an investment like Airbnb, if they wanted to buy it, Manhattan Beach Airbnb rental, then that absolutely could work. You could actually exit the crypto into this Deferred Sales Trust, and then this trust itself could partner with you to buy this investment property, and you can do it all tax deferred. So it's kind of like 1031ing crypto into an investment real estate property, which that is the transformation. What would that mean for those, especially for those who maybe had Bitcoin at 60, 65, 68, 69,000 a coin, or Ethereum where it was at, and versus the crash, the ability to sell high and buy low. What do you think that might mean for some of the whales out there that have a ton of crypto and are looking at ways to sell high and buy low?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, that's definitely an option. You can also, do the tax harvesting, so, I mean, not all coins are doing great. Not all of them are doing horribly, so you can also hedge against those as well. I mean, there are a lot more options out there than we even had 5 years ago. But what my CPA, and of course this is not financial advice whatsoever, but what he did warn against was that we've got that box now on our tax returns that if it's not checked and you did cash out and you did do something or even swapped it, the IRS can go back as far as they want. As far as back to 2009, I guess, if they wanted to, if you had records on that, and audit you. But at the very least, check that box, and even if you're wrong, it's better than not checking it at all.
That makes perfect sense. Check with your CPA on all of that, and be reporting. And so, Piper, you ready for the lightning round?
Oh my God, I hate these. Yes, sure.
Okay, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you'd make sure to tell yourself to do?
Oh my God, study harder and take it seriously, and don't get a film degree.
Okay.
Get a business degree.
Get a business degree, fair enough. Question number 2, what's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Oh my gosh, Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza.
Oh, well, that sounds good. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Question number 3, what's the number one leadership quote or theme that you kind of strive to live by?
Oh my gosh, there's so many leadership. Oh my gosh.
It could be a theme. It could be a motivational thought. It could be Teddy Roosevelt's the person in the arena. It's the person who's the blood, sweat, and tears, and all those things.
And
so
I know I'm going to think of it after the camera's not rolling.
We'll come back to that one.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I mean, for me, I kind of live by, and there are so many people that do teach this. It's just lead with your heart, and always have the best intentions. It's not, the money is great, but it's not about the money. It's about servicing, and it's about being in service to your client.
That's beautiful. That's a great leadership quote. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I am never not curious about what crypto is going to do next. I am constantly checking my portfolio, my charts, what the news is doing. And I'm just fascinated about where this is going and the opportunities that, like I said, we have more now than we had a few years ago with metaverse, NFTs. There are lots of opportunities for realtors to get involved, and even in a shifting market, there's a ton of opportunity out there.
Excellent. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, what's the one habit you try to practice, every day or once a week or whatever it might be, to stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
You know what? I I have to meditate every day. I don't care if it's for 15 minutes or if I can, I try to do at least 30 to 45 minutes. So I have to start my day off with that. Otherwise, I am just not grounded for the rest of the day. So I do that. I do a lot of yoga. I have to exercise. And that's my routine in the morning to stay focused and centered.
Amazing. Piper Moretti, for those who want to get in touch with you, what's the best place for them to find you?
You can actually go to my website, thecryptorealtygroup.com, and you can always email me, piper@thecryptorealtygroup.com.
Thanks so much, Piper, for being on the show, and look forward to helping a lot of people together.
Thank you so much.